This video was brought to you by as many of you know, I love growing money trees. In fact, I have quite a few money trees, and over the years I've been able to propagate so many new plants from my original money tree. Over the last couple of months, a lot of people have been asking me if their money tree is dying, and I thought it would be a good idea to show you how to bring your money tree back to life. If you haven't seen this before, welcome back to the channel. I am a plant doctor. And this is my channel where we diagnose plant problems so you can enjoy growing healthy houseplants. So today, we're going to look at the most common issues with money trees and what to do about them. But first, let's start with some basic information about money trees in general. If you didn't know already, money trees are actually Pachira aquatica. These are native to the tropical regions of South America. They're found naturally growing along riverbanks, and they're not actually trees, but they're woody vines. So when you see them in the landscape, they will climb up trees or other structures using their aerial roots to get to the sunlight. In the wild, they grow into large woody vines. However, when grown indoors, they grow into these nice, compact, beautiful plants that we all know and love. In nature, they grow along the banks of rivers and streams, which means they're used to having a fluctuating water level. This also means that during times of drought, they have to be able to endure dry conditions. And when there's excess water available, they can take advantage of that. So just keep this in mind. The money tree is used to both high and low water availability, and we can replicate that by giving them a well-draining soil and then watering only when the soil is completely dry. Okay, now that we've covered that, let's talk about the most common issue that I see with money trees, and that is root rot. This happens because we usually overwater our money trees. Let's take a look at this one here. This is a very large plant. It's got lots of stems and lots of leaves. Looks like it's doing really well. However, if we take a look at the leaves here, you can see that these leaves are wilting. Even though this plant has plenty of water, this is an indication that something is wrong. Now let's check out the roots. When we pull these out, you can see that these roots are totally black and rotten. And when we pull this stem out, you can see that there's no green in these stems at all. Everything is brown. This means that this entire plant is dead. Now you may say, well, how does this happen? Well, if we take a look at this area here, we can see that this pot has drainage holes, but this tray is full of water. So even though we might think that we're only watering this plant once a month, twice a month, whatever the case may be, if we leave this plant sitting in water for extended periods of time, especially during the winter when the plant isn't actively growing, this will cause the roots to end up burning and rotting away. So the first thing to do is to remove any pots that are sitting in water and then repot this plant in a well-draining soil that's not constantly wet. Now, sometimes what happens is people will receive a plant like this, which is braided, and they'll see that the plant is wilting and they'll think that it needs water. However, that's not the case. Most of the time, when you buy a braided money tree, they've been braided so tightly that the plant has been restricted from growing outward. So instead, it grows inward towards each other, and that's what causes these stems to become thin and wiry. The solution to this is to take the plant and immediately unbraid it. And here's a video that I did a while ago showing you exactly how to do that. Once you've done that, then give the plant a couple of weeks to adjust, and it should recover after that. The next issue that we see with money trees is leaf drop. You may notice that the older leaves are turning yellow and dropping off. When this happens, you need to check two things. First, make sure that you're not watering too much. We don't want to overwater this plant. And second, we need to look at the new growth to make sure that there's enough light. As you can see, this plant doesn't have enough light. The leaves are quite far away from the light source, and even though they look green, they're not very healthy. They're kind of pale. If we were to take a leaf like this, you could see that it's thinner than it should be, and it's not very compact. It's kind of wilted and wilting, and when we flip it over, you can see that the underside is very, very pale, so move your plant to a brighter location. Just regular indirect light is fine. Avoid putting them in direct sunlight because the leaves will scorch. And make sure that they get bright indirect light for at least 6 hours a day. That should help the plant recover. Now, another problem that we see with money trees is the leaves turn brown and crispy. Now, this is usually caused by underwatering. So if you notice that the leaves are starting to curl and then they become crispy, then it's time to water your plant. And here's a way to tell if your plant needs water. Take a wooden dowel or anything that's long and thin and push it into the soil. If it comes out moist, then your plant doesn't need water. However, if it comes out dry, then it's time to water your plant thoroughly until it drains out of the bottom. And remember, don't keep your plant sitting in water because this can lead to root rot. Make sure that the soil is dry before you water again. Another problem that you might encounter with money trees is the leaves develop brown spots. This is usually caused by a fungal disease called Cercospora leaf spot. The best way to avoid this disease is to make sure that you give your plants plenty of air circulation. And the way to do this is to use a fan to blow air across the plant. Another option is to prune out any dead or diseased leaves. And if you need more information on how to treat fungal diseases, I recommend checking out this video right here where I go into much more detail. Finally, let's talk about how to fertilize your money tree. The best time to fertilize your plant is during the spring and summer when it's actively growing. The way that I fertilize my plants is by using a slow-release fertilizer. I put a small amount around the base of the plant, and then I water it in. Alternatively, you can use a liquid fertilizer every 2 weeks. Whatever you do, just avoid over-fertilizing because this can burn the roots and kill your plant. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to mention, and that is that money trees are toxic to cats and dogs. So if you have pets, then make sure that they don't eat any part of this plant. All right, so if you notice that your money tree wasn't doing so well, hopefully now you know what to do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching. See ya.